Well, hello there, fellow hooligans. This is I once again, Hobby Hooligan, aka Kevin. Today, I'd like to show you how to put a tire on a bead, specifically a pocket bike tire, on a rim with just a few primitive tools versus tire spoons, as they are called in the industry. These things on both ends have different curves, okay? So one end has that little bit of a hook, and the other one has more of a spoon, and they both have that different end. So both have different ends. I'm going to show you how to do it with these tools, and then I'm going to show you how to do it with these tools. Hopefully. We'll see how victorious we are by the end. Just give me a second here. I'm going to plop this tire up on the table, and here we go. So we got our rim, we got our tire, and what I got to do is put this tube in it. I don't like doing it. Nobody really should like doing it. I would say the best way to start would be to heat the tires up the best you can. So if it's a sunny day, leave this outside in the sun for like 10-20 minutes, either side if you can. And or if you got a heat gun or something like that, you know what I mean? Or on top of some kind of insulated thing on top of your wood stove even, you know what I mean? But that's not the most important thing. It does make them a little more pliable. As you can see, they're very, very rigid. I can barely squish it down with my little puny muscles. I can't, actually. So I'm going to show you how this puny muscle guy can do it. You can do it. And if you can't, then you get your daddy to help you, because that's normally what I do, is get my daddy to help me. Yeah, those can go here. The first thing I want to do is figure out, this is going to be, it says rear. I want to make sure it's a rear tire, which means my sprocket needs to be on the left-hand side, which means my valve stem needs to be coming out the right-hand side of the rim. If that makes sense, it doesn't make any sense to you, I don't know what will. So, in other words, when I do put the tube in, there is a valve stem on it that pokes only one direction. I have to make sure that this valve stem pokes out the proper side of the rim, because one side of the rim is going to have a gear on it, and it'd be a lot easier to access the valve stem without a gear in the way, if need be. Now, previously to this video, last night in other words, I went ahead and I cleaned the rim with different oil sprays and a wire brush, and I did the same thing with the tire so that it was good and clean and free of debris, and then I rinsed out the inside so there'd be nothing, no kind of debris inside anywhere to nick my rim when I go to do this, which is very important. Hold on, I'm going to change the camera angle so you can actually see me when I talk, which is actually very important to keep in mind, that you don't puncture your tube while installing it. Moving along. First thing is we want the primitive tools. Now, the importance of the valve stem sticking out which side of the rim. It doesn't matter which way the rim really faces, okay? So if I'm putting a gear on one side or the other, both sides are the same for the rear, and I can put the gear on either side because both have screws and perfectly good screw holes. But what isn't the same is one side of the rim has these little indentations, which aren't visually appealing, and the other side of the rim doesn't have open, it's closed. So I probably want my gear on this side, which means I have to think about how easy it is to put the tube into this tire, which it isn't. And I'm going to need space on one side of the wheel more than the other side of the wheel when I go to do that. But we shall hit that benchmark when we get there, I guess. I'm going to say it goes in this way first, and then pop it all the way through once I get the tire on. Or once I get the tube in. Once I get the tube in. Yeah. First things first. You got to get it kittied like this, so the edge of the rim is up in here. And I believe this is where you put the vice grips. Honestly, the last time I did this method, I might have been like 12 or 13, which is a good 30 years ago. So you're going to clamp this. Oh, make sure that your vice grips are not as tight as they can go, but just a little tighter than the rim. So you don't want to chew the intense crap out of your rim. You want to just hook these on. You can put a cloth in there or something like that so it doesn't mark it, but I don't really care if these get marked. So you clamp that to there, and that should be good enough. It shouldn't pop off. And now what you got to do is you got to squish this down, right? So the only way to do that is to get the pry bar. I'll turn you the right way. You can see that air gap in there, right? In there. You're gonna get this tool in there and you gotta pry it out all the way around without it slipping off the other side, kind of thing. It does involve a little like pushing down on things and prying it, and it just wants to keep sliding out the wrong way all the time. I find a lot of persistence is needed for this method. So you want the rim as closest to the tire down there as you can. So I'm gonna apply pressure to the back side of the rim and push down. And then I want to use the crowbar on this angle, like that, so I can get maximum leverage over and around. You know what I mean? Like that. And then you just kind of keep doing that all the way around until you get to the tough spots. Like that. And then what you would want to do is get another crowbar once that one's got a good wedge in there, and you can use another crowbar to get it that much further. No, I changed my mind. I don't know if I stopped it or if I paused it, but I'm at that pinnacle point where I actually think I might be able to do this. It is tough. Like, I wish my daddy would just come do it. But one day my daddy's not going to be here. So I should learn how to do this. Or I may never be able to do it. Is the consensus. The other consensus is you can pay somebody like me to do it. I don't like this. It's not fun anymore. Well, nothing in life is fun, is it? Pushing down and pry. Right? Like that. Okay. Well, I got both past the rim that time. That was crazy. I literally got both past the rim. Both edges of the tire past the rim. This is difficult and probably harder than it needs to be, but another important part is like the clamp pressure you put on your hand so it doesn't pop back off as you're going around. Definitely helps you not have to do more work than necessary, but yeah, the hard part is getting the first one and the last one. See how it just pops like that? It's on that edge. Now, what did we discover when that happened? It looks like our tire is all the way on the rim on one edge, and this edge is just started. And for all intents and purposes, you can leave it like that and start feeding your tube in to the open side of the wheel, okay? But I wanted to go ahead and show you the difference with the spoons makes, okay? So I'm going to pop this off, show you the damage that it did to the rim. Which I can't tell, but isn't horrible. Here, you can see a little bit. It's not horrible. It's livable, you know what I mean? And then what I'm going to do, see now, rim's on there, right? Okay, so I wanted the sprocket on one side, the open side, because you won't see it with the sprocket and the chain. And then my valve's going to be coming out this way. So I need to make sure that my tire goes on here just right. So the valve, when the valve sticks out, has to be poking out like this. You know what I mean? And then I got to get this bad boy in this tire and then down that valve into there. So sometimes it's just easier to start right at the point of conflict. Again, adjusting camera. And I did, this is going to have to be a two-part, darn it. So it's easy just to stick it in there. And there it is, sticking out, all right? Good enough, not good enough. Actually, we want this tire tube up inside the tire. And this is where it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt, because you don't have maybe a finger width to deal with. But the good thing is this is about a finger width until you come to that thick rubber around the stem. That's your hardest part. So you got to get it up in and down before you lap it over so it won't pinch, tear, or whatnot. It is the hardest part of the job, and I really don't. This is why I despise doing it. Versus, well, there is no versus. I have to do this. I have to put a tube in it because the tires do not hold air usually long without them. Being an aluminum rim on a little tiny bike, they don't hold air the way you think they should. Actually, the trick is to kind of more or less push down on the rim while you do that, so it goes into the middle part there. You know what I mean? So it gives you a little more finger room to squish this up in there. Now I only have to get enough up in there. I don't have to go all the way around, you know what I mean? There's no sharp edges, so we should be okay. The tube won't rip or nothing. But we just have to get enough of the tube in there that rubber around the edge goes up into the tire. Okay, like a show. You see how it's getting in there? But the thing is, I just need a little bit more tube to go up in there on that certain angle. If you don't put it in on a proper angle, it'll get twisted or torqued the wrong way. And when you inflate it, your valve stem won't be where you want it to be anyways. So this being a frustratingly painful process is still fairly necessary. And you can buy these tubes on Amazon. I might be able to leave a link in the description, but I rarely do that because I always forget. Now I'm at that point. Back it up. I'm able to use my dexterity fingers. If you don't have those, you're kind of SOL. Now see how it's not lining up? I want to grab the tire and the rim and twist them separately, just a little hair. So I line up, and now I can roll that in there and hopefully face that out the hole. And sometimes it's nice to have something that'll thread onto it to stop it from backing out. Other times that can actually cause you to tear the tube, because it is almost easier to refeed this thing in than it would be to patch a ripped tube. Oh, it is difficult sometimes with the cap on because it's rounded. Again, sometimes that helps you. Poke it in there. Poke it in there. And it's hard because it's U-shaped the opposite direction I want it to go, right? So sometimes you gotta just give it, oh, there, see, I gave it a little push on the rubber. It was just enough to poke it out. Now I want to keep my fingers on it when I release my pressure up here. It's not all the way through yet. I want to give it another push. There it goes again. Pop back out. And it is fairly seated in the position I want it to be. So what I'll do is I hold it on the back with my finger with some pressure. So I can take the cap off real quick. And I'm going to have to pause this video because I am getting overheated. That was a little bit extra for me. I got to put this cap on it. If I can get this cap on it, I can let go of it with confidence that it's not going to back out the hole. And then I can go have a quick coffee break. Oh, there we go. We might have to make this a part 3 video if I keep this gobbledygook up. I probably won't. Yeah, okay. I'm out of coffee. Oh, goodness gracious, I'm out of coffee. I did not foresee that level coming. Alright, well, we're just going to keep on trucking on because that's what we do here on this channel, I guess. Remember, this is the inside, has to stay to the inside. And it's not fine. Okay, so stand back up so y'all can see.
just like that, little bits around. Now, as you do this, it's going to get tighter and tighter because you're taking up that gap with so much rubber. But because our stem is in place, it shouldn't really be too much harder until you get to the end. And it is always like good to remember that you don't want to pull it towards the slack. You want to kind of pull it away from the slack if you can to feed it in, back towards the valve, because you can always reduce that. You can always pull the slack back after you get this tucked in there. Just like this, ruffle it in there. It's not really about being gentle at this point. It's just about efficiently getting it up into the tire, and hopefully it doesn't come out the other side. You can still stick your fingers a little wee bit up here, but not really at the same time, so you can pull it up with your fingers to make sure it comes out of that track. You don't want this trapped in between the rim. That's another thing you don't want. You want to make sure. We're a little more over halfway now, and I mean that's taken a whole 10 minutes. It took a lot longer to pop that rim on the tire, if you ask me. To me, that's the hardest part, because if you slip the wrong way, it kind of freaking hurts, or it can. I just wish I had better tools, but I do have the spoons. They do make it a little easier. There, now I'm able to get this over like that. Now I just have to straighten out all this so that it's not peaked, and it should go. It should, but I don't think it will. It should go right where I want it. I'll pause it. Push down on the rim, tickling the rubber in from the other side, pushing it in with your thumb at the same time, back and forth like this, and then you pinch it on the other side, pull the rim back out. Very slowly work it into its place where you want it to be for the most successful inflation rate. Because let's face it, you tear this, you gotta do it again. All right, we are almost all the way in. I am sweating. I'm sweating. I'm not gonna show you I am sweating. That's my forehead juice. I know, gross. Warning. Forehead juice incoming. All right, nothing is stuck in that seam. Nothing seems to be protruding out this side. Now I can show you how we do it using the spoons. Again, double check your valve. Make sure your valve looks like it's fairly straight or whatever. Coming out the hole. There's a bit of rubber you should see when you pull it out, like so. I wonder if inflating it a little bit would probably help. You know what I mean? If it was just slightly inflated, I wonder if that would help it not get pinched in this next process. So now this is in place. Wait, double check. Yes, you look in here. You double check to make sure it's lined up still. And so this side's on good, and it's got to be seated up. But now we got to get this side clipped on. And this time we're going to use the spoons, and you will be able to judge for yourself what seemed easier: the vice grip with the pry bar, which you can also do with a large flathead screwdriver, or any bar if it has a bit of a taper to it. A curve really helps, and everybody thinks that this is the way to do it, but no, you kind of want it like that. So when you get it over, it kind of slips down and on. This way, you still have to keep bending it until it comes off that hook. But this way, it at least slides down a little bit better, and you can get it in better. And if that way gets it in better, you can always get it in and kind of twist it and pull it where you want it before you start prying. But it's really hard to pinpoint your pressure when you're using these and this, as opposed to these. And I believe this side is my favorite. This side is not my favorite, but I'm gonna try with these ones. Get this one. Quit waffling, and I'll get the job done. You can't quit waffling and get the job done. You quit waffling, we'll get the job done. Get the job done. No, okay. So another trick I was doing is I got to get it off with this like scissor trick, and I wondered if it. Oh, there we go. We got a gap. Just gotta get a gap going on the edge here so you can get it over like these, and then you just keep kind of doing that all the way around again. But I wonder if I can do the scissor thing. Like there was a way I had the bar in there like this, and I just yeah, okay, let's try that. Put the bar in there like that, and this is pulling. Oh, shoot. So you gotta get your one bar actually pulling the lip over though. You know what I mean? And then the other bar can go in under that lip, again facing down, and then you apply pressure like that. And if I just pull towards me, it should, in theory. Oh, it's working, but not the way I wanted to. But then at least I can still kind of go like this. Oh man, I need a foot up here. I need a third hand up here for this. Gotta hold the bar. Gotta put the bar in the edge with the loose tires, but not pinch. Hold on. But not pinch my tube. You gotta make sure you don't pinch that tube. I'm telling you. You come down on that tube, and you'll be so upset. You'll be like, no, I gotta do it again. So I find you get your foot on the other bar. Well, this is not gonna be a good video. I'll get you moved over here then. There you go. That's a better view. So you get your foot on your bar, pinching that one in there. You gotta get pressure down on it. You gotta get the other bar in under here like so, to the edge. Bend it forward. Bring it back. Make sure you're not pinching the damn tube. Oh, see, I slipped and I almost jabberinoed myself. That sucks. All right, try that again. Trick is not to let it pop out. You gotta get it over the edge of the rim enough, but not too much. You don't want it to flex in and hit the tube. But the tube isn't even there, so I shouldn't be worried. Okay, there we go. We got that like that. And I got to apply pressure. Oh, this guy's popping out. I got to also apply pressure from the tire to the rim, so it doesn't just slot back out when I pull this bar out. You know what I mean? Like I got to pull him down like this, get him out, get him back in over here, while still applying this pressure somehow with my little pencil neck hands. Then bend it back this way again. Make sure you're not hitting the tube, but I can't tell from here. So it's just praying. Just a lot of praying, and hoping that you don't hurt yourself, because my confidence is really shot at this point. Oh, we didn't nick the tube. Okay, good. Apply pressure. Get that in there like that. Get this around. Quarter of an inch, I'd say, overlap the rim. Oh, what happened there? Bring it down this way. Yeah, bring it down this way. Like that. Pull it out. Do it again. Oh no, it's popping out. This is where the valve is. Gotta be careful. You don't pinch it at this point. That would be very tragic. I'm telling you, for an ADD person, this is very tragically hard. Because there's so many things. Squeeze here. Press with your foot there. Can you see my toe curling? And then do this. Meanwhile, I need to be holding that side of the tire. And we got that part in. Okay. All right. That. Can you imagine how much harder this would have been with the vice grips? Except for where how I'm holding it, my foot wouldn't have been so hard. Here's the last one. If it doesn't slide away, this is it. Oh, get it in a little bit further right there.
And it looks like the tube was safe the entire time. So there it is. It's on the tube. Now all we have to do is inflate it. It's been almost 20 minutes. Now, before you can fully finish this installation, you're going to need a few other things. First is you're going to need a way to fill the tire with air. So I have a air pump with a pneumatic hose, and a gauge is preferably nice to have. This one is just easy. The ones with this style of head on it are the best for the pocket bike. And third, and not the least, but most important, is some kind of lubrication. WD-40, Jigalube, any kind of oil should work for this trick. Because they are older rims and tires, the pitted rim usually sticks, and in order to get a nice even seal with the tire against the rim, I like to throw a little bit of helper around the edge. So without further ado, I'm just going to give it a good, you got to kind of tip it up when you do it, because cans don't like to spray upside down, and you want to go and just spray it right on your edge of the rim there, one way, and then on the other side, just right into that crack, you know what I mean? And then it's always a good idea to have a quick little cleanup rag on hand. Wipe off the excess from the tire, because it doesn't need to be on the actual tire edge. You can clean that off afterwards as well. So now I take my valve cap off. Get in here. Gonna have to take the valve cap off. By the way, the one I was using is a garage door lubrication. I don't know if that read backwards because of my camera or not. And then you take your air hose and you pull your stem out to the appropriate spot. You put your finger on the back side to hold it into place. Fingers if you must. And then you give it some air. This is going to be the tricky part because these rims don't like air being put in them. And that, there we go. Now when you look at the edges of the rim, they're all nice and tight to the tire. Now if they aren't, is that one? That one's not bad. So if they're not, you can give them a good bounce before you get the tube fully inflated, and that might help put them where you want them. It'll also help bounce out some of that unwanted grease. Now this is the point where you can test the air pressure, but I can tell by squeezing on it with my little baby pipes that it's going to need at least another 10 more pounds of pressure. Again, check your valve stem to make sure it's coming out the way you want it to, and it seems to be okay, and I don't really know the difference. So, oh, there, my hose just unplugged because we got these fancy ones. I'm going to give it a little more air. Get it up to 20 pounds. Like that. Then we give it a little checky. Little check. Why is my checker not working? My checker's not working. Huh. Do I have to loosen it? What did I do wrong there? Yeah, I had it too tight. That's not 20 pounds yet? Really? How is that not 20 pounds? You telling me my checker's messed up? No, maybe it's just not at 20 yet. Yeah, it just wasn't at 20 yet. Okay, yeah, now we're looking at about 15, so we'll put another 5 in it. That's about 22. There, that's about 20. Now, I did see some bubbles coming out right here. Now, don't get scared, because don't forget we put a tube inside a tire, so that's probably just the air squeezing out past that grease or that oil we put in. And now we have a nice, new, even tire. Another way to check to see if it's seated nice is there's a little line, and you just watch and see if that line is even all the way around, and this one appears to be so. So there you go. There's your pocket bike tire, now ready to be slapped on your bike, and holds air better than a busted up rim. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Hobby Hooligan, aka Kevin, signing off.